Hey guys, so today we're going to talk about the distributive property and combining like terms with fractions and decimals. So let's take a look at this first problem. In this one, there is actually no distributing that we're going to have to do because there are no parentheses, so we are just going to be combining like terms. So remember what we like to do is you can make your box, start from the back, box these up, and then let's look at what is the same. So our like terms here would be this 2s squared. We have another s squared, and then we also have a number with no variable and a number with no variable. So let's go ahead and combine. So 2s squared plus 1.5s squared. So those are both positive, so we're really just going to add. So remember, when you've got decimals, you're going to line up your decimals. So 2, and that'd be 0.0, and then 1.5, right? So we're just adding, and we get 3.5. So 3.5s squared. And then for the -3 and the 0.5, so since those signs are different, we're actually going to subtract. So we're going to be subtracting 3 from 0.5. Let me change my color there. 0.5. Okay, we need to borrow 10. This becomes a 2. So we get 2.5. So we get 3.5s squared. It should be negative, right, because the 3 was larger, or so, minus 2.5. And that is it. All right, let's take a look at the next one. So for the next one here, we are going to have to distribute first. So we need to distribute this -0.4 to what is inside of the parentheses. So we're going to do 0.4 times 5.5, because remember, when you distribute, you're multiplying. So off to the side, 5.5 times 0.4. 4 times 5 is 20, carry your 2. 4 times 5 is 20, plus 2 is 22. Since there's one number behind the decimal in the first and one number behind the decimal in the second, there should be 2 numbers behind your decimal point in your answer. So we're going to get -2.20. And then now we need to do 0.4 times, or -0.4 times -3k. So that's just 3 times 0.4. So 3 times 4 is 12. And then since there's one number behind the decimal place, it would be 1.2. So since it was a negative and a negative, that would then change our sign to a positive. And we said it's 1.2k because our variable's there. And we need to bring down our k from before. Now we're going to make our train and combine like terms here. So making my boxes. Things that are similar to combine. Let's see, we've got a like term with the k and the 1.2k, and the 2.20 is off on its own. So if we think about it, remember there's an imaginary 1 right here in front of the k. So we're adding 1k plus 1.2k, which is going to give us 2.2k positive. And then we're just going to bring down our minus 2.20. Technically, we do not need that 0 at the end. So we can leave this as our final answer. Okay, for this next one, again, we are going to have to distribute first. So we are distributing a -3.6v into the parentheses. We're multiplying that by everything inside the parentheses. So we need to multiply -3.6v times 1v. That's going to give me -3.6v squared. Okay, and then we're going to need to do 3.6 times 24.6. 6 times 6 is 36. Carry your 3. 6 times 3 is 18. Plus 3 is 21. Add your 0. 4 times 6, is 24. Carry your 2. And then 4 times 3 is 12 plus 2 is 14. When we add, we get 6, 5, 6, 1. There's one number behind the decimal in our first, one number behind the decimal in our second, which means we need two numbers in the decimal, two numbers behind the decimal in our answer. So 16.56. And if we look at our signs, that was a negative times a negative, so that would be a plus 16.56. And don't forget that that V was with the 3.6, so it is a V. So that's our final answer. All right, so for this one, we are going to have to distribute. So we're going to multiply that 2 thirds, by 9n and multiply it by our negative 12. So starting with 2 thirds times 9. Remember, when we're multiplying a fraction and a whole number, we need to put it over 1 and multiply straight across numerators together and then denominators together. So 2 times 9 would give me 18. And 3 times 1 would give me 3, and then you need to simplify. So we're going to do, how many times does 3 go into 18? And that would go in 6 times. So 2 thirds times 9n would give me 6n, and then 2 thirds times 12. So I'm going to do that over here. So 2 thirds times 12 over 1. And again, we're just going to multiply straight across. So 2 times 12 is 24. 3 times 1 is 3. When we simplify, 3 goes into 24 8 times. So we get 6n minus 8. Okay, for this next one, we are going to have to distribute. For our first parentheses, we actually do not have to distribute because this is kind of just a placeholder here, and technically there's just a 1 outside of it, and if you multiplied 1 by everything inside, you're going to get the same number, or the same numbers that are already there. So we really won't have to do anything for that first parentheses because, again, there's nothing right outside of it. But for the second set of parentheses, remember that there is an imaginary 1 out here. So we're taking negative 1 and we're multiplying it by everything inside of our parentheses. So if we do negative 1 times 7x, we're going to get negative 7x. And if you do negative 1 times negative 4.5, we're going to get plus 4 1/2. And then we're just going to bring down the rest of the stuff. So 3x plus 1/2. Again, that wouldn't change. All right, now we're going to combine like terms. So if I box it up, my like terms, 3x and negative 7x. So 3x and negative 7x would give me negative 4x. And then we need to do 1/2 plus 4.5. Well, a half and a half is going to give me a whole, so 1 whole, right? My half here and my half here is 1 whole, plus the 4 as our whole number, so that's going to be plus 5. So again, all we did was we took those 2 halves and added them, and we got 1, and then we had that 4 as a whole number, and 1 plus 4 is 5. So negative 4x plus 5 would be the answer for this one.